Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you've joined me today. We are listening to a beautiful violin CD. And I've just had so many deep thoughts this week about accomplishment, dreams, hopes, life's calling. This CD is being played by my daughter. She was only 18, actually she was 17 when it was recorded, and this is her. And the CD is called Elizabeth Goes to College. And here's another picture of her. And she had done a CD when she was 15, and that one is called Elizabeth Goes to Vienna. And she earned her way to Vienna by playing, here's a picture when she's little, by performing and making CDs and selling them and giving concerts. And I haven't heard her CD for so long, but I was told there's a lady, she's actually my son-in-law's mother, Jennifer, who listens to this CD every day. And I was so moved. I thought, wow, I had no idea, because you're involved in a project and it goes out and you don't know where it goes. Now this song, of course, is Preludium Allegro by Fritz Kreisler. Fritz Kreisler was the great violinist of the 20th century who inspired so many people to play, to make violins. I know he was my father's hero. Oh, this is so beautiful. Fritz Kreisler had the gift that when he performed, listen to this, let's just listen. People would go to his concerts and they would say, I feel closer to this man than my own mother. He could put the emotion of his heart on the strings. Wow. Forgot about this CD. It's so beautiful. Fritz Kreisler lived in Vienna, and this seventh child, Elizabeth's the seventh, my daughter is the seventh child, and Fritz Kreisler was just prancing around, playing. His father was a medical doctor and used to have amateur string quartets going in his home with his other sons and Fritz Kreisler's older brothers. Sigmund Freud used to come. One day at the age of 4, Fritz Kreisler stood up and played the most gorgeous concerto flawlessly. Everyone was astounded. So then he was sent to France to music conservatory, and the rest is history. This is not easy to play. I don't even know what we're going to talk about today. I have so much in my heart. But this is a tea for one that I brought for you. Sweet lady gave this to me many years ago, and it goes like this. It's called tea for one. It's tricky to pour. And I brought you a darling little pink cup. I'm wearing aqua and pink, in keeping with my blue hydrangeas. This is the Beethoven Romance. All my children played this piece. It's really all because of an excellent, wonderful teacher named Helen de Pastel-Pagels, and another teacher, Robin, their first teacher that gave them excellent bow holds. But Helen knew how to inspire children by having them play the romantics. There's nothing more romantic than the Beethoven Romance. Oh, this is so good, this tea today. I'm trying to I have aqua on and pink, and I love pink and aqua. I'm going to a wedding tomorrow, and I thought I would wear what I'm going to wear to the wedding. And I found a little pink purse that will be perfect. And then I have a larger bag. It's Ted Baker London. It's a fun pink. Patent bag. Wherever I go, I take my books. I always have so much to do, and I'm teaching on Saturday, my last class for church history, so I have to take my books and correct papers for my wonderful students. Their papers are like, the level is astounding. Beautiful papers. And I have the most special treat of all, a mocha chocolate caramel cupcake, just for you. I just thought, I play music for you, all these different symphonies, and I use Apple Music sometimes and other classical channels, and I thought, this is in my closet. This is my daughter. I'm going to play her music today. I forgot about this beautiful CD. And one of my favorite things is in the autumn, drive through the leaves with beautiful classical music playing like this. Well, this time of year, it was July, and it was right now. It was the first 2 weeks of July that we were at Lilienfeld, Austria, Lower Austria, at the music camp. Helen, the violin teacher's daughter, Karen de Pastel, she has a music camp that's been going for 40 years. And people come from all over the world. There are amateurs, professionals, students. They come and they study, they play in quartets, they have an opportunity to perform a piece that they've been working on. Just a wonderful. And when I was there, I had a voice teacher from Bulgaria, Lilia. What a wonderful, she couldn't speak English. I couldn't speak German well enough to really communicate. So she taught me in musical language. What a gorgeous voice she had. The musicians at the camp the teachers are all European, very high level, very dedicated. The Russian voice teacher, Yuri, oh my, everyone wanted to study with Yuri. His students sang beyond. So I asked Yuri, how much is a lesson? And he promptly replied, €1 a minute. It wasn't by the hour, it was by the minute. €1 a minute. I miss Helen. I miss this beautiful violin teacher that gave so much to us, our family. I drove my kids to so many lessons, sat through so many recitals. It was a complete joy. It was a complete... I was always so inspired. And Helen gave her all. She was known to give, if she had the time, she could give 3-hour violin lessons. Now, Helen was German, half Swedish, half German, grew up in Berlin, studied at the Hochschule. She had people like Karl Flesch and Sefcik as her professors. They were in a quartet. And she was 14 during the war. The war started. Her father ran a hospital in Berlin, and it became so dangerous. She was taking the train to the Hochschule. One day she arrived, and it was closed. All her teachers were gone. She had so many Jewish teachers, and most of them got out. Her favorite teacher, Dr. Zeckland, who she credited with giving her the technique, the understanding, her playability. He was smuggled out of Switzerland in the trunk of a car, survived, ended up in Seattle as the University of Washington professor. And her daughter, Karen, and then she went back and studied with him. And I have another dear friend who studied with Dr. Zeckland, and he was the greatest violin teacher. Everyone he taught played with such passion and fire. So what I thought was, okay, this CD was in my closet. I took it out. I'm reviving it. I thought, I'm going to ask my tea people, what is in your hand? What do you have in your closet that you're not using? It's amazing. Life goes on. We become so busy. We are often so busy in a project. We're so relieved when it's over. We just move on quickly to the next thing. And we need to pause, take time, reflect. Oh, beautiful. Our son Gabriel played that also, and he auditioned at Whitworth University, and he was on the football team and also doing violin. Now this is her real piece. This is the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto in E minor. This was what she worked so hard on. And Mr. Jorgensen, fabulous, dedicated accompanist. There he is on the piano. Excellent. What does it cost to excel? and to go to the next level? Well, it all has to start with a vision. Someone has to have the vision, the parent, the teacher, the student. It's good if all three have that vision. But young people cannot be expected to have a vision fully. They can't. They're young. And that's why you don't listen to the young people. You just, when people don't like to study math, they don't study math. Or, I'm sorry, they're not allowed to not study math, are they? No. Everyone has to do math. Everyone has to do English. Everyone has to do science. Well, I put music right in that category. And I think everyone can be trained, whether they become the greatest player is not the goal. The goal is that they would learn the skill and be able to have that their whole life. And if it isn't given young, it usually won't happen. But it is never too late. I met a lady at the Suzuki program in Tacoma when my kids were young, and she was the Suzuki viola professor. And she had started after she was 40 to play, and she was so good. She had such good intonation. She had such good tone. She played with real strength and authority. So it's never too late. Never too late. But there are many of you, I know you, and you want to write a book. You want to publish. Don't give up. Just start moving toward that direction. You can self-publish. And do it for your children. Do it for the next generation. You know, I teach at an African seminary called Fulbright Seminary. And they're all Kenyans they're from many parts of Africa. So many of my students, my graduate students, are published authors. They have books on Amazon already. And they have a saying, these Kenyans, they're not letting any grass grow under their feet. They say, if you didn't write it, it didn't happen. In other words, it will be lost. Isn't that interesting? Oh, Mendelssohn is so beautiful. Mendelssohn probably had the best life of any great composer. He had beautiful parents. They had enough money. He was actually Jewish, but they had converted to Lutheranism. And he is credited with the rediscovery of Johann Sebastian Bach. Now I have to tell you about these flowers. These are from Lake Quinault. They grow wild, just wild, like the trees, right in the trees. Aren't they gorgeous? They like the rainforest. My husband and I drove up to Lake Quinault on Sunday afternoon. What a gorgeous place. We love it there. It's like going back in time, going back 100 years. So quiet. The lodge was built 100 years ago. Wow. Elizabeth, goodness. Music is the language of the heart, and Johann Sebastian Bach knew he is the king of all music, and he said the violin has the ability, when you draw the bow on the string, it has the ability to go right to the heart. there was a time when all of my children were home, and it was before Elizabeth was born. They were in 4 different levels of symphony in the Capital Area Youth Symphony, and they all were taking lessons, 2 cellos, a viola, and 2 violins. Wait, 3 violins, okay. That was the older group. Elizabeth came 7 years after Gabriel. So, one day we had a big room in our house. We called it our school room, and each of the children had their instruments and their music stand, and they were practicing different things. And it didn't conflict. When you're playing classical music and you're playing acoustic strings, there was no conflict. It was the most beautiful sound. I thought, wow, everyone's practicing. And yes, they're playing different pieces, and I think I told you before, but Fritz Kreisler, the first piece we heard, it was Mr. Suzuki in Japan, who also, all around the world, Fritz Kreisler was like, he was just beyond the pale. And Mr. Suzuki said, how did he learn? And he sent his son to live with Einstein in Germany. This is before Einstein left Germany. He barely got out also, just in time in the war. And his son went to Vienna and studied the Kreisler family and the method. And the method was that little Fritz running around just heard this music with his ears. When he was very little, he was hearing the Baroque music, which is really singable, and it's Bach, and it's Telemann, and Corelli, and beautiful. And so Mr. Suzuki, the son went back to Japan, and Mr. Suzuki created a program. The child listens when they're 2.5. They're given a little box as a violin, a little cigar box at first when they're really little, but they're listening, and they start singing, and they're given a violin, and they're told how to stand from a very young age, and they do not read music. They play by ear until they learn to read. I actually went to the Suzuki program in Seattle in the 1970s, and Mr. Suzuki and his wife were there at Seattle Pacific University, and I was with my friend Marilyn, who was a violin student at SPU, and I was trying to play too, so I did the twinkles. But I remember them saying, Mr. Suzuki and the people believed children should not sight read music until they're reading books and words, so that it wouldn't strain the eye. And that program has produced, I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of thousands of violinists. There's so much string music in the Northwest because Mr. Suzuki would come every year to that camp, and his wife. Very dedicated. And all the teachers would come, and the power of one person could teach 15, 20 children, and then continue and have a studio, and the rest is history. And I was privileged because I was in Tacoma, and the University of Puget Sound had a Suzuki program, and they bought all these gorgeous instruments and let the parents use them, and the children use them. And I remember carrying my son Nathaniel, and I was carrying him up the steps. And little Sam was 2, and little Michael was playing. Sam was 2.5 with violin. Michael was 3 with cello. Victoria was 4.5 with violin. And Suzuki has always been an extremely positive approach to music. Children learn how to make a good tone really early. And once they make a good tone, that's encouraging. The violin can be so hard to play if it's not taught right. could be very discouraged if you didn't have the right teacher. Oh, I love this. This is the Mendelssohn Concerto. Felix Mendelssohn, and he had a sister, Fanny, and they were best friends. Beautiful. Well, you know what? I want to encourage you today. This is what I feel the theme. I'm going to encourage myself today. Restore. Summer is a time to refresh, restore. Vacation is vacate, move forward. I have a lot of dreams and hopes, but I'm so busy sometimes I can lose sight. I think we need to pause, take a sealer, take time, and say, wow, what do I have that is my gift, is my passion, that no one else has, to the degree they don't care. When other people don't care about it, don't worry. That means that it's yours. It's your call. Oh. Wow, we've only gotten through 3 songs. And then later she plays the Gypsy airs. Oh my goodness. I think I'll continue this next week, and I'm going to play the second half of this CD for you. This is actually online. You can hear her, you can see her playing this. I think it's just Victoria Shoemaker, Mendelssohn Violin Concerto, YouTube. It was her audition for college, and oh my goodness, this is my personal favorite for all times. The Handel's Largo from Xerxes. Oh my. I think we'll just listen to this.